Okay, it looks like we've got a few people on right now. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Let me look at my watch here, 6:59. Welcome early, early birds. Early birds get the worm, right? So a lot of stuff going on out there today. A lot of interesting things happening in the world of health. We're right in the middle of it. So we've got a great program for everybody today, but I just want to wait a few more minutes, maybe another minute or two to try to see if we're going to get any other participants. There's a couple more people coming on. So hopefully you've got your tea, your echinacea tea, or whatever it is that you're drinking. I've got my water here, so okay. So what I'm going to ask is if you will see at the bottom of your screen, there's a place for you to raise your hand, so to speak. When I'm asking questions, I'm going to ask a few questions, and it's really nice to see if you raise your hand so I can kind of see who's participating. I believe I've done these talks for many, many, many years, hundreds of thousands of people, I think, over the years I've talked to, is that, oops, we got a reminder. There it is. Remind me tomorrow. So many times it's when I do these talks, the people that participate in the questions and answer section, they get the most out of it. So if I ask a question, raise your hand. In a live talk, I might just call on people. In this case, we're not going to do that. There will be a place for you to type questions. I have someone here that's going to be answering questions while we're live and moving forward. There's a lot of information to cover. So it's important if you'd like to ask questions, someone will be there to do the best they can to answer your questions. But right now, it's really important. I just wanted to know a few things and ask a few simple questions just to kind of get familiar with who's here, or if I can help you understand what we're really going to talk about. Okay, so again, it's 7:01. Let's give it another minute or two. If you think people might come on a little late, there could be some internet issues. I know we've been having problems in the office with the internet, and so we are open, and I believe that I have a lot to offer people. So we are still seeing clients in the office. We're adjusting people's spines. There's a lot of research to show that adjusting the spine does stimulate the immune system to protect you against the coronavirus. So we want to really boost your immune system. And if that's one of the things that we can do to help, so we are keeping our doors open. We're cleaning everything constantly. After every patient, we're cleaning. We're doing a really good job keeping everything clean, and we're not seeing a bunch of people at the same time. So there is the social distancing, and we're putting in the space there and whatnot. So we just want to know that that's also available. Let's see. 7:01. So we're going to get started. I hope everybody is being safe. Hope everybody's healthy. And so first question, if you could answer this, has anybody on here tonight, does anybody know anybody that has contracted the coronavirus? The coronavirus, they're calling it COVID-19. There's different ways. We're going to just refer to it as coronavirus. Anybody? Okay. So with that being said, you're hearing a lot in the news today about the underlying you hear a lot in the news today about the underlying conditions that people have, the underlying issues, the chronic diseases and whatnot. And we see in my practice that a lot of people, they minimize what's really going on. They minimize the things that they have. Now that this is out there, I'm starting to hear people say, wow, I'm susceptible because I've got high blood pressure. And we're going to talk more about the underlying issues that you may or may not be experiencing. So does anybody on here tonight, is anybody dealing with diabetes or prediabetes? And if you are, think about this for a second. If you are you taking medications? Okay, right? How about high blood pressure? Anybody on here dealing with high blood pressure or maybe taking high blood pressure pills? If you are, there could be a problem with that. And I'm going to show you some statistics and some research on those as well. How about thyroid conditions? Anybody with a thyroid condition who may be dealing with a thyroid, taking medications for your thyroid? How about cholesterol? Anybody with high cholesterol? We see a lot of that out there, and lots of people are taking meds for high cholesterol. So we're going to mention that. We'll talk about cholesterol drugs, statins and ACE inhibitors, high blood pressure pills. How about autoimmune? Anybody with autoimmune? Thyroid autoimmune. Look, I'm going to raise my hand. I've got thyroid autoimmune. I've been dealing with it for years. I have a special protocol. I have it in complete remission. And so, but because I've done the work that I've done, I've really supercharged, so to speak, my immune system. So I'm not as concerned about the coronavirus that some other autoimmune people might be. My wife also has an autoimmune condition. And so we both have supercharged our immune system to protect against, in this particular case, this coronavirus that's out there that's being so devastating to our country. Autoimmune, how about gut issues? Gut issues would include leaky gut syndrome, IBS, diverticulitis. Maybe you've got GERD, reflux, constipation, diarrhea, heartburn. All of those would be considered gut issues. Raise your hand if you're dealing with any of those. For any of these questions, you could raise your hand if you have a family member that you know of who's dealing with these, because you may have a family member in another state that has diabetes or is dealing with cholesterol or has high blood pressure. They're going to be at an increased susceptibility to the coronavirus because their immune system is suppressed. And that's really what we're going to be talking about as we move forward here. I've seen some hands go up, so I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. So let's do this. I'm going to go right into, there you go. Thank you very much for raising your hand. What we're going to do here is I'm going to click over to screen share. And right there. Okay, so the talk tonight really is stress, hormones, and immunity. We're going to learn how stress, hormones can really affect in a negative way our immunity. Remember, anything that has a negative impact on our health is going to have a negative impact on our immune system. We also are going to really dive into how the underlying issues that you may be dealing with or your family members may be dealing with will increase your susceptibility to the coronavirus. My name is Dr. Rappe. I'm a certified functional medicine practitioner. I'm board eligible in functional nutrition. I've been in private practice for 30 years. I graduated in 1989 with my doctorate degree, and since that time, I've literally traveled all over the country studying with some of the greatest functional medicine doctors that we know of, at least in the United States, if not worldwide. Most of them have written many, many books. They're all individuals who are really well known. So I've worked and studied under these people. I have close to 1,500 hours of postgraduate studies. Most of my postgraduate studies are going to include the following. Functional medicine is huge. Functional immunology, functional medicine in particular, functional immunology, functional medicine, functional nutrition. I've got, like I said, I'm board eligible in functional nutrition. So I've got all these hours in these extra areas that really most people don't. I've pursued them with a passion. My kids say to me all the time, Dad, when are you going to stop going to school? You're 61 years old. And I say, hey, as long as there's new information out there, it's really, really important for me to know as much as I can. And so I can share it with the clients that I take on. So I've mentioned functional medicine a number of times. And that's really what I do is I practice functional medicine. I have clients all over the country. Many clients I've either never seen in person. I've done Zoom call work with them, but people all over the East Coast, the Midwest, down in Florida, Texas, Washington, Oregon, all over, even people in Canada. So I've worked with lots of people as far as, they call it telemedicine. I call it telefunctional medicine because I've been able to do it for many, many years. They just started talking about it in the last week or two. And so again, you don't have to be in my office to do this kind of work. We really work with people all over the place. Functional medicine is a really fascinating area that I've been involved in for a long time. For those of you who don't know what functional medicine is, it's pretty simple. My definition may be different than others, but my definition really is I'm interested in what is the underlying cause of your symptoms. High blood pressure is a symptom. High blood sugar is a symptom. High cholesterol is a symptom. You got it? Okay. So I'm interested in what's the underlying cause, and then I want to resolve the underlying cause using all natural methods. Very straightforward. What is the underlying cause of your symptoms? We want to resolve the underlying cause using all natural methods. Now, this is opposed to what most medical doctors who are functioning in the medical model do. Their schooling and their training is completely different than mine. Their training is really in how do we suppress your symptoms using pharmaceuticals, okay? Now, let me clarify this. I'm not here to beat up your doctor. I'm not here to bash your doctor. Right now, these doctors are the heroes to our society. They're the heroes to our country. They're on the front lines. And the reason they're heroes is because they're stepping up at a time of crisis. And really what they practice is called, I call it or refer to it as crisis care. Let's say you have normal blood pressure and then one weekend it spikes and it's all weekend, it's super high and horrible headache and whatnot. And you end up in the urgent care and they say, oh my goodness, your blood pressure's through the roof. That's an acute scenario. They're gonna provide you a drug to minimize your symptom. The key is you'll be on that drug for the rest of your life because it's never going to correct the underlying cause. It's not designed to do so. So again, in functional medicine, we want to identify underlying cause and correct it. In medicine, their goal really is to suppress your symptoms and to manage you. So it's really a crisis care system that manages you. Now, when you look at the quality of our care, we have the best healthcare system in the world when it comes to crisis care. If you're in a car accident, get your leg cut off, you go to the hospital, they'll sew it back on. It'll work like normal. Heart attack, go to the hospital, they'll save your life. That's the best crisis care in the world. However, they also will treat chronic conditions, long-term chronic conditions. They treat them like acute conditions, and therefore that part of our healthcare system isn't so great. And that's why we have so many sick people out there, okay? So it's really important to understand. They're great people, they're wonderful, they're doing an amazing job right now. We should all honor them. But when it comes to the standard medical model, they're really not very good at long-term chronic conditions. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. So again, I'm not here to replace your doctor. I don't change anybody's medications. That's not my job. My job is to correct all of your underlying causes. And if I get your body functioning normally again, you no longer have symptoms. It's your doctor's job to reduce or eliminate those drugs that are no longer necessary, right? Today, as we speak, our #1 goal is to supercharge our immune system to protect us against the coronavirus. All right, now, let's go to the next slide here. There we go. So we believe in if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, that's insanity. That was an Albert Einstein quote right there. But in our office, we believe that if you want a different outcome, you've literally got to do something different. All right? What that means is this. You've got this chronic underlying disease or issue that's been going on for years, and we've literally put it on the back burner. It's not that bad. I hear this one all the time. Well, I'm taking my pill and that controls it. The key is that the drugs you're taking for these chronic conditions will never, ever correct the underlying cause. You'll just keep taking them for the rest of your life. They have side effects. And some of the side effects, as I'll show you tonight, are going to cause your immune system to be dysfunctional, or it's going to reduce or suppress your immune system, which makes you more susceptible in today's environment to this coronavirus. So it's really important to see the difference there. So what we're going to cover tonight, and I just want you to know, I get going, I get all excited, I'm super passionate about what I do. I'm going to go fast and furious. So stay on top. If you have questions, send them in, and the individual that's helping me, actually it's the co-founder of my practice, my wife, she'll be answering questions to the best she can. So here we go. What are we going to cover? Well, we're going to cover the COVID-19. We're going to cover America's healthcare crisis. I'll give you my opinion and why we have a healthcare crisis. We're also going to cover the underlying health conditions that weaken your immunity. And most of you either have one or two, and you'll see how prevalent it really is. We're also going to talk about how to take action to boost my immunity and rebuild my health. You see, there's a lot of reactionary activity out there right now. And what I mean by that is this. There's a lot of people that are just reacting to what's going on. They're not being proactive, they're just reacting. Hence the toilet paper shortage. Everything I've read and everything I've seen reported, the coronavirus isn't about diarrhea, but yet there's a toilet paper shortage because people are just reacting. I'm also seeing on my own personal side is I have lots of emails coming in every day, dozens and dozens of emails coming every day, where literally their practitioners out there are pushing a pill or a supplement or a diet or something like that. And what we're going to teach you tonight is that there is no magic pill. There is no magic pill. You can't just take a supplement. Here's my example. If your body is in dysfunction, and it is, if you have any of the underlying issues that we talked about and you raised your hand for, if you're in metabolic dysfunction and someone says, oh, here, just take these supplements, you'll be fine. Your body can't utilize them because you're in metabolic dysfunction. An example was I had somebody the other day say, well, just give me what nutrition I need. I said, you can have the best nutrition on earth, but if your body can't break it down, you can't digest it and absorb it, it's not going to do you any good. So there's a method to the madness. But again, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people that are being reactive because of the emails they're getting. You need to just take a step back, take a deep breath, and by the end of our talk tonight, you're going to realize we've got to walk through a very specific step-by-step process to rebuild our bodies and our immune system from the inside out to be as healthy as possible so that we do have a future. We don't want to be a statistic in this particular pandemic that's taking place right now. Also, for those of you, if you stay online till the end of the talk, you're going to receive a $200 gift certificate from Thrive Functional Wellness Center. We'll talk more about that as well. Here we go here. The presentation I'm presenting tonight is for informational purposes only. The information is not a substitute for medical advice from your doctor. This information is not meant to prevent, diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions. If you're concerned about your health condition, please discuss it with your doctor or make a trip to the ER or urgent care center. Got to get that in. So COVID-19, let's look at signs and symptoms, at-risk population, flattening the curve, and how to be proactive and take back control of your health. Very, very straightforward. So here's a little diagram I wanted everybody to see. Here's a comparison of the common conditions that are out there. You've got the common cold, flu, and allergies, but also COVID-19. The most common things that we're seeing reported with COVID-19 is fever, dry cough, no phlegm, just dry throat, shortness of breath. I've seen where there's doctors on different channels saying that if you take a deep breath, as deep as you can take, like you're going to go underwater and hold it for 10 seconds and you don't cough afterwards, then you don't have shortness of breath. But I think out of all of these things, if we look between the common cold, flu, allergies, and COVID-19, I think if you go down here at the bottom where it says runny nose, under COVID-19, it's rare. Under the common cold, it's common. Flu sometimes, and allergies common. So runny nose. So if you're in that place where I'm really concerned, maybe I have it, I have these symptoms, I might have a fever, and you don't have a runny nose, there's a good chance you probably don't have it, okay? It's very rare with the COVID-19. Some of the more chronic conditions that we're going to see out there in the United States of America, about 80% of our population, adult population, has at least one, and 68% have two or more. We're looking at hypertension, high cholesterol, arthritis, heart disease like ischemic heart disease, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, which there is no pill for. I see a lot of that. People come in and see me and I go, did you know that you're in stage 3 or stage 4? And they said, I had no idea. My doctor never mentioned it. And it's clear as a bell in their blood work. Heart failure, depression is huge. Worldwide right now, anxiety, stress, and depression are huge. Alzheimer's disease and dementia. There's 7 different stages of dementia, Alzheimer's being one of them. And so we're seeing that as a huge, as the population grows older, we're going to see more and more of that. The key here, though, is diet and exercise can play a really important role in keeping you from developing it or at least pushing it down the road far enough in the future where it really doesn't matter. And then, of course, COPD or any type of lung or respiratory dysfunction. Chronic disease in America, 6 in 10 adults have at least one. 4 in 10 have 2 or more, which is amazing. And it costs us about $3.5 trillion annually. So what do we want to do is we want to flatten the curve. Everybody has heard flatten the curve. This is really what it means. If we look at this chart, this is what typically happens. We get this pandemic, we get this huge spike, more and more and more people, more people. Finally, everybody's got it. Now they start to get healthy. They come around the outside if they don't die, okay? And we continue down the curve. We want to flatten the curve out. And how are we doing that? Well, our government was really on top of things. We closed down travel from China and Europe. What we really want to do, though, we can do personally is social distancing. And I'm sure everybody here is doing it. Maybe not the spring breakers, but if you read the news, and I read a little bit, there's a lot of them that got sick. So social distancing is really huge. Stay far apart. Avoid groups. Minimize your errands. If you go to the store, get everything you need in one trip and don't make another trip until you absolutely have to. So minimize those errands as much as possible. Do your banking online if you can. All of these little things will help flatten the curve. Wash your hands. Everybody has heard this many, many times. Wash, wash, wash your hands. And the fingertips are the part that we touch most things with. So make sure that we're washing our fingertips, not just the palms, but get your fingertips really good as well. Closing schools. I don't know where everybody on here is from, but where we're from, they've closed the schools. That's going to keep the spread down. And working from home if you can. There's a lot of people that have been laid off. The stimulus package, I believe, was signed or passed today, and then it'll be signed by the president. But it's really going to be helpful for people that can't work from home. So these are all things that we can do to flatten the curve. So for those of you who just joined us, I don't know if you can see that, but we're having a little internet difficulties. Hopefully it doesn't chop it up too mad, but if you just tuned in, we're covering the Corona-19 or COVID-19 America healthcare crisis, inflammation and immunity, and how to take active action to boost your immune system to protect your health naturally. If you stay on the talk until the end, there will be an opportunity for you to receive a $200 gift from Thrive Functional Wellness Center. So let's get right into our slides. America's healthcare crisis. In my opinion, Big Pharma's part of it. Now, again, right now, Big Pharma can save a lot of lives. And in my personal life, they're saving my brother's life. I have a brother who's a year older than I am, and he had a double lung transplant in November last year, and he's using very specific drugs to totally suppress his immune system so his body doesn't reject his new lungs. To me, those are the kind of drugs that I'm all for, that are 100% support without question. It's the drugs that they've developed over the last 70 years to minimize your symptoms that never ever correct the underlying cause of your chronic issues, and you take those drugs for the rest of your life. Those are the ones that I'm against. And a lot of functional medicine doctors like me are against that as well. The insurance company and the misleading information. When we talk about insurance, insurance is this. You know, it's really a crisis insurance, and it's for acute care. Think about it. Most of the insurance out there today really is for catastrophic care, large deductibles. I don't get anything out of my insurance. They don't pay for anything until I've had an extensive issue that will be dealt with and eats up my deductible, my co-payments. So I'm really referring to it as crisis insurance. People come to me and wave it around like this is going to make me healthy. And I said, no, it's not. It's not designed for that. It's designed to get you through a acute crisis, and that's it. There's a lot of misleading information out there as well. What does it cover? What doesn't it cover? And we'll talk about what it covers in the future. But the main thing that big pharma and insurance companies are interested in is money. They have shareholders. They have stock. They've got to perform well enough to make sure that these people are happy. If we look statistically here, 75% of the $2.7 trillion that we spend on healthcare in the United States of America every year is spent on diseases that are largely preventable. Well, what does that mean? Preventable means that I developed it over time. Let me give you an example. Let's just say high cholesterol. I've held many, many babies in my day, okay? And I've never held one that had high cholesterol. I've never held a baby that had heart disease. I've never held a baby that had diabetes. I've never held a baby that had hormone imbalances. Those are things that we develop. The chronic conditions that we're talking about, we develop over time, and they're all largely preventable. And so if it's preventable, that means it's reversible. In addition to that, this is my favorite slide of all. In the United States, we spend $425 billion a year on pharmaceutical drugs. A lot of money. This came from the CDC and the FDA. Why is it a lot of money? Well, this number, $425 billion, represents 75% of all of the drugs manufactured on the planet every year. And we consume them in the United States. Why does that matter? We only make up 5% of the world population, but we're consuming 75% of the drugs. So our system really is designed for acute care. The problem is, once we get through the acute phase, they continue to treat my chronic condition as though it's an acute condition, and therefore they keep giving us the drugs rather than correct the underlying cause. So let's take a look at this. Here is an example of what I call crisis insurance care. It's Blue Cross, great policy, but the problem is this: they promote and advocate crisis care. It doesn't matter what you have. You could have diabetes for 20 years. You could have high blood pressure for 20 years. They still advocate and pay for crisis care. That's what they do. They don't teach us, they don't educate us, they don't teach us how to reverse our diabetes. They don't teach us how to reverse our high blood pressure. They don't teach us how to reverse our heart disease. They don't teach us like they should. Knowledge is really powerful. They don't teach that because they advocate crisis care. Okay? So let's look at this. They don't advocate eating organic foods. We should. They should teach us and talk to us about why would we eat organic foods. Well, here's an example. If you took a piece of fruit off of this table here from Europe, it might have 2, maybe 3 pesticides, maybe. In the United States of America, it could have between 200 and 300 pesticides. What are pesticides? Well, they're toxic. We'll talk about chemical stresses in a little bit, but they're going to stress my body internally. They're going to affect my biochemistry. They're going to affect all of my metabolic processes, and I will become metabolically dysfunctional. And lastly, my favorite, they don't teach us about exercise. They don't promote exercise. Heck, I should be getting some kind of a rebate on my premiums. I exercise all the time. Exercise is incredibly good for us. And so this is part of the problem. The insurance companies advocate and pay for crisis care. They don't pay for the wellness care, and that's what I advocate. And that's how we're able to turn diseases around. And in your case, supercharge your immune system. What your insurance pays for is typically a doctor visit, drugs, and at some point surgery. Crisis care versus chronic care. So Harvard Medical School put this out. I thought this is a great little quote. Chronic inflammation plays a central role in some of the most challenging diseases of our time. If you look at this, it came from the Journal of Clinical and Cellular Immunology. And again, some of my postgraduate work is functional immunology. The scientific evidence shows that chronic inflammation weakens your immune system. Chronic diseases are caused by chronic inflammation. We're going to say inflammation a lot, so be ready. Chronic inflammation is linked to cancer, heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disorders such as rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Crohn's disease, thyroid, Hashimoto's. It's even associated with Alzheimer's. Chronic inflammation is associated with Alzheimer's disease. That's just to name a few. In addition to that, people with chronic inflammation have a much greater susceptibility to coronavirus 19, and the reason is because it minimizes chronic inflammation, minimizes, suppresses, reduces, downregulates, whatever word you want to use for it. It pushes your immune system down. It weakens your immune system. Heart disease. Heart disease is a really big problem in the United States. Heart disease is the leading cause of death amongst men and women in the U.S. Some of you didn't know that. Heart disease statistic is really straightforward. From 2017, on average, 1 person dies of cardiovascular disease every 37 seconds in the United States. Now, I don't know how long I've been talking, but if you got down 37 seconds, all right, there's a lot of people dying. 1 person every 37 seconds during this talk. In addition to that, the statistic also says that about 2,300 2,353 people die. There was that many deaths from CVD each day in the United States of America. Now, if we take a look at the true underlying cause of heart disease, what we're going to see is this. Research also shows that approximately 80% of all cardiovascular disease can be prevented by reducing inflammation, along with adopting healthy lifestyle behaviors, right? Straightforward, 80%. So if we were to go back a slide and look at 37 people die every second, that would really, we could knock down 29 people would survive if they just followed the kind of program that we're advocating here today. Healthy behaviors such as eating a healthy diet, engaging in physical activities, maintaining a healthy weight could and have the most impact on individuals that will contribute to their chronic diseases. Here's the bottom line. Reduce the inflammation, supercharge your immune system, and be not immune, but really build your immune system so that you're stronger and less susceptible to the coronavirus. This is an interesting slide. I wanted people to see this. There was a heart drug. This study came from the British Medical Journal and showed that heart drug may increase the virus's entry into your cell. ACE inhibitors, high blood pressure meds. If you're taking that, that makes it easier for the virus, coronavirus in particular in today's environment, to get into your cells. In addition to that, Baylor University put this study out, and they found there was a 300% increase in pneumonia deaths with people who are taking ACE inhibitors as well as statin drugs. So if you're taking a cholesterol drug, believe me, you're increasing your susceptibility. Let's look at some diabetic facts. For those of you who raised your hand, diabetic, pre-diabetic, maybe you know someone, a family member, a coworker, these are the facts you need to know. There's 100 million people in America that are pre-diabetic or diabetic. Pre-diabetes drives systemic inflammation. Diabetes also drives systemic inflammation. Remember what I said about inflammation. It reduces your immune system. Diabetes is the number one cause of blindness and kidney failure. Diabetes will also, people with diabetes are 4 times more likely to have a heart attack and a stroke, and it's due to the inflammation. So besides having more opportunities for heart attack and a stroke, going blind, kidney failure and whatnot, the inflammation from your diabetes is going to reduce your immune system. Here's a statistic I think is really important for everybody to hear. Diabetes has tripled in the United States since the 1980s. And it's projected to triple again between now and 2030. So that should tell you right there that the drugs they're using for diabetes don't reverse the underlying cause of your diabetes. They don't correct the underlying cause. They minimize your symptoms, that's it. Now, I'll throw this in there. There's a commercial on TV where a guy's taking the new diabetes drug and he's all happy and he's smiling and he's singing and he's mowing the lawn. Well, I can tell you what, I mowed lawns as a kid to make money to go to the movies. I never danced and sang one time. I hated it. So the commercials that are out there are really used as a way to manipulate your mind to think that if I take this drug, I'm going to dance and sing, okay? Again, the vast majority of diabetes drugs out there will make you more diabetic. This is just a quick example of a client that came to see us in January of 2016. He's a diabetic, full-blown diabetic, type 2. He was on 3 oral medications, including a high blood pressure pill, 2 different insulin injections twice a day. He was at the end of his rope and he told me, I just want to die. I don't want to do this anymore. His wife is crying, tears running down her face. Don't let him die. He had been working with the same doctor for well over 20 years. Now that doctor, God bless him, he did what he was taught to do in school, and that was to use drugs to minimize your symptoms. The problem was he gave him insulin drugs to help with an insulin problem, and it just compounded. He kept getting worse and worse and worse. In this particular case, his A1C on all of those drugs was 9.4. Terrible. After 4 months of working with us, doing our diabetic program, we do a reversing diabetes all the time, his A1C was 5.4, which is normal, and he was off all of his drugs. Absolutely amazing in 4 months. He lost 60 pounds. Once we went over his last set of labs, he went back to his doctor. Quickly, I'll tell you. He went back to his doctor, showed him his labs. His doctor went through the paper and said, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And he was looking, uh-huh. And he literally just got up and walked out of the room. That was it. How shameful. He left the room because he was embarrassed and ashamed that he had made this gentleman worse over the last 20 plus years. And what he should have done is said, who's this doctor you're working with? What's his name? Where does he work? Give me his phone number. I'd like to meet him. Maybe I can send some of my diabetic clients to him and he can help them. But his ego got in the way. His ego got in the way and made this gentleman sick, and he was ready to end it all. So remember, prediabetes and diabetes are going to give you increased insulin, which equals increased inflammation. And we've talked about it. We've shown it in the research. Increased inflammation is going to weaken your immune system. So your meds may increase your susceptibility to the coronavirus. Here's some research that says oral antibiotics, you're more likely to develop pneumonia. And here's a research that shows that increased sugar will reduce your immune strength. Thyroid, for any of you that raised your hand, you remember I raised my hand for thyroid. 30 million people in the US have a thyroid disorder. Half of those are undiagnosed. Females are 5 times more likely than males. And 20% of diabetics will have a thyroid issue. If you have any underlying thyroid issues, it will weaken your immune system. Okay? There's a crossover between diabetes and thyroid, and the way it really works is my thyroid really supports sugar metabolism, and if my thyroid is dysfunctional, I don't metabolize sugar, I have elevated sugar. Next thing you know, I have lots of insulin spikes, I develop underlying insulin resistance, I become a type 2 diabetic. Thyroid supports bone metabolism. There it is. It supports your immune system, brain and nervous system, gastrointestinal function, liver, gallbladder, growth, sex hormones, and estrogen, fat burning, insulin and glucose metabolism. There it is right there, as well as healthy cholesterol levels and proper stomach acid. Now, for years and years and years, we've all been pushed this propaganda that cholesterol is bad for us. Cholesterol is not bad for us. The truth about cholesterol is we have to have a certain amount to be optimally healthy. We need a certain amount for our brain to function. If we don't have enough, we go into the starting to develop signs of dementia because your brain uses cholesterol to function normally. As a matter of fact, I love facts, as you sit here watching this right now, every single one of you, 25% of the total cholesterol in your body resides in your brain, but your brain only makes up 2% of your body weight. That tells you how important it is. It's also important for sex hormone production. If it's too low, if you're taking a statin drug and it pushes it too low, you won't be able to make enough sex hormones. And lastly, every cell in your body has a membrane around it made of lipids. And when we get damage to the cell membranes, we have to use cholesterol to mend the cell membrane. So it's really important for those 3 areas. If we're going to look at the different types of stress, there's 3 types of stress that everybody in this talk is exposed to on a regular basis. Physical stress. Physical stress could be anything from a car accident to over-exercising, not getting enough sleep. 6 to 8 hours of sleep is important. If you get under 6 hours of sleep, you're going to suppress your immune system. So you've got to get your sleep to recover and rejuvenate your body. Physical stress. Chemical stresses are everywhere out there. Everybody on here was exposed to chemicals today. I took a shower, I used soap, I used shampoo, I shaved, shaving cream, aftershave, cologne, deodorant, I washed my clothes. We have cats, I vacuumed the carpet. There's chemicals everywhere. In the air, when the wind is blowing, like right now, it's really windy out. That's fine particles of chemicals get up into the air and it's toxic to us. And those toxic chemicals are stored in our fat cells, but also they're going to disrupt my metabolic functionality of my body. They're going to wreak havoc everywhere in my body. They're going to drive me down the path of dysfunction and reduced immune system. Lastly is emotional. This really fits with today, what's going on out there. People have lost their jobs. People have lost their livelihoods. People are really on edge. There's a lot of sadness and sorrow and a lot of pain out there. A lot of people are depressed, a lot of anxiety of what's going on in the future. And in my opinion, if I could say this, I don't think the news media has helped much. I think that they've been an integral part in causing more chaos and more stress than they need to. But emotionally, emotional stress is really going to affect us metabolically as well. We know that there's been studies that show that it causes cancer. I just showed, if I didn't show you, there was a slide that I had in here somewhere. Maybe I didn't put it in, but there was a study that I had to put in that showed that emotional stress really will suppress your immune system. So stress can weaken your immune system. If you look at this, stress is known to suppress your immune system function and increase your susceptibility to infections like coronavirus. And chronic long-term stress can really increase what's called immunosuppressive mechanisms within the body, which increase your susceptibility to infections like coronavirus. The father of medicine, there he is, guys. Hippocrates, 2,500 years ago, he said, all disease begins in the gut. Your gut is super duper important. When we look at it, it's common to overlook the health of our gastrointestinal system. The medical profession has done it for years because they would give out medications, Prilosec, antacids. There's a whole host of medications they would give out for gut issues. In this case, it's now come to the forefront in the last number of years. It's come to the forefront. One of the facts that everybody on here really needs to know is that 70% of your immune system is housed in your gut. So if you have any issues, if you have heartburn, GERD, reflux, constipation, diarrhea, IBS, leaky gut syndrome, diverticulitis, Crohn's, any of these issues, these underlying issues, it's really impacting your immune system. And so it's important to understand that. And lastly, a healthy gut will protect us from infections and will reduce the susceptibility to the coronavirus. So we really got to work hard on getting your gut clean, cleansed, and repaired and as healthy as possible. And that takes me into some of the OTCs. You know, this used to be a medication prescribed by doctors only. The lobbyists were able to get it on an OTC med. So OTC meds, here's two different studies. One shows that there's well over 15 million people taking proton pump inhibitors. Prilosec is that, to reduce their heartburn, their reflux, their GERD. And the study also on top there shows that there's an increased risk, a significant increased risk in community-acquired pneumonia for people that are taking Prilosec. So why am I against Prilosec? Well, a couple of things. Prilosec is a problem. When we take Prilosec, it shuts down the acid-producing cells in the stomach, proton pump inhibitors. So my gut, my stomach doesn't make enough stomach acid to digest, to break down my foods appropriately. That's what's causing GERD and reflux. Not too much acid, not enough. So the doctor gives it to me. It shuts down the stomach acid production. I become much more dysfunctional now. My intestines go into dysfunction. So food that's not digested properly now goes into my intestines. It putrefies. It drives leaky gut syndrome, and it can wreak havoc, inflammation, horrible, okay? So the key is stomach acid is protective. Two things. One, stomach acid will protect us and reduce our susceptibility to infection. But two, when we have enough stomach acid to break down our foods, we're going to get full absorption. This is what I mentioned earlier. When I have people come in and say, just give me the best diet ever. And I say, it doesn't matter. I can give you the best foods on the planet. You're taking these proton pump inhibitors. You can't break it down and absorb it. You're in metabolic dysfunction. It doesn't matter good food or not. It's not going to help you. So it's important. It's not just one magic pill or just the nutrition or just exercise. It's all of them combined, and it needs to be done in a very systematic way. This is a study that shows that stomach acid protects us. Leaky gut, what is it? Well, 8 out of 10 people out there actually have leaky gut. You might not even have symptoms and you have leaky gut. Let me demonstrate to you what it really is. These cells over here are tightly bound by a protein or by what's called a zonulin. It holds it together. They create what are called tight junctions. In the stomach lining, there's only one cell thick. That's the layer of the intestinal wall, one cell thick. So it's amazing. These tight junctions have an incredible difficult job. They have to be big enough to allow the smallest micronutrients that are broken down in my stomach to be absorbed into the body. That's normal physiology. But they have to be large enough to let the small particles in, but small enough to keep the big ones out. Here's an example. If we start to develop inflammation in our gut, these tight junctions will open up. See? Bigger and bigger and bigger. This is all inflamed tissue. Look how big those junctions are. They're not tight anymore. So these junctions have to be small enough to keep the bad guys out and big enough to let the good guys in. When we develop leaky gut and inflammation in our intestines, there's going to be systemic inflammation everywhere in the body, including the brain. The real problem with leaky gut is all of the bad things that are supposed to go out the trap door and into the sewer system are now leaking through here into my bloodstream. So that I might develop nutrient malabsorption. Autoimmunity is huge. Food intolerances. This is really important. Blood-brain barrier breach, meaning all of these bad things, these microorganisms, toxins, and food particles can literally cross over the blood-brain barrier and bacteria into the brain, not good. And of course, if I have leaky gut, I'm going to have systemic inflammation in the body. Bad news, you've got to have a healthy gut. If you want to have the most potent immune system to protect yourself against this coronavirus, you've got to have a super strong gut. That's the bottom line. Let's show you this. Leaky gut equals a strong immune system. Healthy interaction between the immune system and the gut microbiota, that's the bacteria in the gut, is crucial for maintaining our body's overall health and wellness. An imbalance in the gut microbiota may dysregulate, meaning reduce, lower, weaken your immune system or your immune response and lead to the development of chronic inflammation and autoimmune dysfunctions. So your gut is super important. You remember the slide earlier that I said 70% of your immune system resides in your gut. So when we talk about the program that we do here, you're going to see that that's right up there as far as number one. So what's your medical doctor's solution? What your general medical doctor, the one that you go to for your sniffles and your acute little issues, what's their solution? Well, pretty straightforward. What's their solution for chronic underlying issues that drive inflammation and weaken your immune system? We know what it is. It's not their fault. They're not bad people. This is how they were trained. Drugs, drugs, and more drugs. They were trained to provide you with drugs to minimize your symptoms, not to correct the underlying cause. We know that because the drugs they provide you only minimize your symptoms and they don't correct the underlying cause. If they did, you wouldn't have to keep taking them. Simple as that. Simple as that. And many of the drugs that you're taking for these underlying causes will weaken your immune system. Freedom to choose. Freedom to choose is this. Your choices are the foundation for your health. It is. You can't blame anybody else. No one stuck that piece of pizza in your mouth. No one had you go out and drink alcohol like a fish or eat donuts every morning before you go to work and develop diabetes. Those were choices that you made. You made. We all have to take responsibility for the choices that we've made. Past, present, and future. Really important. The choices you made in the past has put you in a position you're in today with underlying causes that are making you highly susceptible to the coronavirus. It's the people with underlying causes that are dying, okay? The choices that you're making presently, coming on here today, that says a lot to me about you as an individual, that you really care and you're ready to do something different. You've got to start now and rebuild your immune system from the inside out. And that would be the choice that you're making for the future, is to be as healthy as possible, because this isn't the first, nor will it be the last episode of a pandemic we're going to see. They're talking now the coronavirus could come back again. We've got Ebola out there. We've got swine flu. We've got H1N1. They're all still around, okay? And everybody on here will have to wait at least a year for a vaccine. So we've got choices to make. I say The future is not dictated by the choices you failed to make in the past. Your future is designed by the choices that you make today. And those choices will really create the healthy body for the rest of your life. That's what I say. Failure to take action and do something different is going to lead to the same thing. You're going to continue with the underlying diseases you're dealing with. Your immune system is going to continue to be weak, and you'll be highly susceptible to the coronavirus. We use what we call a 3 R's method here. 3 R's method starts like this. We want to remove toxicity first. Clean, cleanse, and repair. This is what I referred to earlier. I can give you the best nutrition on the planet, but if your body isn't functioning and you're full of toxins, it's not going to help you. Then we've got to resolve the underlying causes. What's really causing the problems in the first place? We have to resolve those and get you back to metabolic normality. If you're in dysfunction, none of the things that people are touting out there are going to help you. We've got to get you back so you're metabolically sound. Then we want to rebuild your immune system from the gut out. 70% of your immune system is housed in your gut. We've got to clean, cleanse, and repair and get your gut functioning normally so that we can supercharge your immune system. Not just for the coronavirus, for anything that might be coming down the road. And we want to do that using all natural methods. So what our program is and what it's not is the 5 to 7 minute chat with your doctor and just more prescriptions. Again, it's not his fault or her fault. It's what they learned in school. If you learn to be a plumber, you're going to fix plumbing, okay? 5 to 7 minutes, I use that number because that's the national average. I bet it's less than that now because they're really in a hurry to try to service as many people as possible. What we do in our program, what it is, we offer a consultation with a certified functional medicine practitioner. That's myself. We also offer a comprehensive history and metabolic assessment. We want to look at all of the organ systems to make sure they're working normally and together. Your body works together. So we want to make sure that all is that functioning. We're going to review any of your previous labs. I'll point out some things to you that your doctor may not have expressed to you. And then we want to put together a plan of action for moving forward. If I accept you into the program, what that means is this: I only work with people I really truly believe I can help. It's that simple. I've turned many people away that offered me 2, 3, 4 times what my program costs. And I said no, because I don't believe this is the right place for you. That's called honesty and integrity. That's why I've been in practice for 31 years and worked with tens of thousands of clients. But if we do accept you into the program, we're going to order all the tests that we believe are necessary to really identify underlying cause. That's the key. We're not worried about the insurance company says, oh, you can only run this test. You can only run that test. We're not going to let you. We don't want to spend the money. It's not about that. If we work together, my goal is to make sure that we're doing everything we can to understand and identify what's the underlying cause. Once we've determined that, we want to focus on cause, not symptoms, addressing the body as a whole, because you're a whole body. You're not a single organ system. We use what's called a systematic approach. That means it's an easy to follow step-by-step system. You've got to have a system. I say this to people all the time. Knowledge is only powerful if you apply it. So in our program, it's not only customized to you as an individual, it's not cookie cutter, it's customized to you based on laboratory testing and whatnot, but we have a very specific step-by-step process where we teach you this knowledge, and then we take you by the hand and we teach you how to apply it every single day. And that's why we get long-term results. That's why we're so successful at the long-term results that we see with our clients. And lastly, we do a lot of mentoring and coaching. You know, I don't know who you've worked with in the past, but we have certified functional medicine coaching here in our office. We coach, mentor, mentor, mentor. I mentioned a number of mentors earlier in the talk. I still have mentors. I was in the 1984 Olympic trials as a pole vaulter, and I got to that level of athletics because I had mentors that showed me what to do, what not to do. They coached me, they mentored me. We use it in our office, and it's really what helps us achieve the success rates that we do. We're going to pick you up and dust you off when you stumble and fall and get you right back on track. So here are the pillars of health. Thrive Functional Wellness Center, pillars of health. Clean, cleanse, and repair. First thing we got to do, we've got to clean all of your organ systems. We got to cleanse the organ systems, repair them so they're all functioning normally together. Okay? Then we go walking into nutrition. When we walk through nutrition, there's a lot of different nutritional programs out there, a lot. Many of them are pushed by special interest groups. We use what we call scientifically based functional nutrition. We start with a foundational program and then we customize it and fine tune it for you because what works for you might not work for someone else. I hear this all the time. Dr. Rappe, I don't understand. My sister-in-law did keto and lost 30 pounds and I tried it and I couldn't lose any weight. Well, it's not the right program for you. So we've got to identify what works for you, and you're only going to get that in a custom program working with someone like us. Gut health is huge. Gut, clean, cleanse, repair. We want to really supercharge that gut system to make sure it's functioning. I want complete absorption and breakdown, eliminating leaky gut and inflammation, making sure the toxins aren't entering my body and my brain. Fitness. I get a lot of moans and groans when I mention fitness. I love fitness. Fitness is fantastic. The key is fitness has to be taught the right way. You've got to use the right methodologies. I don't have time to spend 2-3 hours in the gym, but let me tell you what kind of fitness I do personally. I do what I call FOGA, functional yoga, stretching, martial arts, weight training, walking, hiking, biking, swimming. Those are all the activities. I never get bored, ever. But the kind of fitness that we're going to teach you is methodology based. It stimulates production of hormones. And most importantly, in today's aging society, we're seeing more and more Alzheimer's and brain or cognitive dysfunction. Okay? The type of methodology we're teaching you is going to exercise your brain, the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, the two areas that are detrimentally affected by lack of fitness and poor nutrition, okay, and supplementation. And those are the areas that are going to start to deteriorate as rapid and soon on most people. We want to do fitness that's going to firm them up like they're like a muscle. They're firm. Make them firm and big, and that'll stave off any cognitive dysfunctions that may be on the horizon. So fitness is multifaceted. 30 minutes, 3 times a week. I mean, come on, anybody can do that. We balance your hormones. We test and balance everyone's hormones because hormones are incredibly important. They play an incredible role in all aspects of our health. And in particular, if our hormones are out of balance, we are going to have a suppressed immune system, and that's going to increase our susceptibility to viruses, including the coronavirus. Stress management. Everybody needs stress management, not just today because the news media's got everybody going crazy. We're in lockdown. Don't go outside. Don't stand next to anybody. Stress management. There's tons of research that shows meditation and mindfulness can play an incredible role in increasing and stimulating your immune system. My wife and I meditate every single day. I've done it for many, many years. It's absolutely incredible what it does for you. We teach this in our program. All of these pillars of health have the ultimate outcome of supercharging your immune system to minimize your susceptibility to viruses like the COVID-19. Now, if what I said makes sense to you in this talk, if everything that I said makes sense, you want to work with someone who does this kind of work. I live this way on a daily basis. So does my wife. We both have underlying autoimmune conditions. So we've been working on our immune system for many, many years. We've got it dialed in. We know exactly what we should be doing. So if you're going to go down this path, you want to work with someone who lives this, but also someone who has the education in the background and is certified as a functional medicine practitioner to guide you on this path. This is one of our clients.
Before I signed up, I was diabetic, I weighed 290 pounds, I had high blood pressure, no energy. I was up 3-4 times a night. If I was lucky, I was sleeping 3 hours a night. So I was tired all day. I had brain fog. My son keeps telling me, like, you're repeating yourself, you're repeating yourself. I would tell him 4 or 5 times the same things. I would go to a job and not realize how I drove there sometimes. And I just noticed every day it was getting progressively worse and worse. And even some of my activities, I like the outdoors, I like to fish and hunt. And just going, I couldn't climb hills, I couldn't walk half the time. I was just no energy at all. I had come into the Dr. Rappe for chiropractic and was visiting for a few weeks. And I ended up, Julie here, sweetheart, she signed me, told me to come to this seminar and try it. And it was the best thing I've ever done. Listening to Lori and Dr. Rappe speak was genuine from the heart, and you knew they were here for you. So I signed up on September 1st. And 2 months into the program, I really started to notice a difference. I had a little bit more energy, and it was losing a little bit of weight, but I just was noticing differences. And the best part about this program, I always have people ask me, like, well, what are you doing? What is it? Well, it's more than what I'm doing. It's the program, it's the testing, it's seeing what's wrong with you, analyzing you, giving you the proper supplements, and not only that, but the moral support. And any questions you can email, they respond, they answer your questions, and it's been great. And 5 months after my 5-month program was over, I went to my doctor, and my doctor basically took me off all my meds. She was astonished. No more diabetic, no more high blood pressure, no more cholesterol. Everything cleared up. I also had fatty liver disease, and that was about 3/4 gone, which when I went back in May, is now my liver's normal. It's been such a phenomenal difference. I feel like I'm in my 20s, and I'm just speechless at how wonderful this program works and how I feel. It's been great. The best part too is sure, I've lost all the weight, but it's the energy, it's everything else I've gained with it. And the main knowledge that I've gained is how to look at my body, and I know what I can eat, I know what I can do, and now I know those symptoms, whether it's inflammation or allergic reactions, and reacting to it. And this course taught me all that. And I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to change their life, whether it's weight loss, whether it's just getting off their meds or anything. It's just been just about a year. I've lost 104 pounds. No more diabetic, no more anything. Like I said, my energy level is through the roof. I can go down and get a new driver's license because no one believes it's me in my driver's license. So it's been a total 180 degrees. I weighed what I weighed in middle school, which is incredible. It's been heavy my whole life. But I highly recommend it to anyone if you want to change your life.
What a story. What a story. He was in a place in his life where he was ready to do something different because he wanted a different outcome. And he got it. 104 pounds is huge, right? Changed his whole wardrobe. So it's really important to understand, if you're in a place where you're ready to make the kind of changes necessary to take back your health, right? Take back your health, supercharge your immune system, have this shield of invincibility to this coronavirus. In my opinion, it's just an amazing opportunity for all of us to do what we need to do to support ourselves and to make sure that we have a healthy future. So this is why I do what I do. You haven't met her, but my gorgeous wife right here, she is the boss. She's the co-founder of Thrive Functional Wellness Center, but yes, she's the boss. My daughter, she's over here, and my son, amazing kids. I had a traumatic event take place in my life as a young man, and I believe that's what took me down the path to become the health and wellness expert that I am, and gives me the drive and the passion to do what I do. You see, my mom died when I was 6 years old. Now, if you can remember back when you're 6 years old, she is your everything. So that loss really drove me down this place to become the health and wellness expert that I am today. And I remember 28 years ago, when my wife and I got married, I made a promise to her that I've kept to this day. My promise was this. I promised her that my kids will never, ever experience what I had to go through as a little boy. And I've kept that promise for 28 years. I've also spent the last 31 years of my career doing everything I can to help as many people as possible not to experience what I experienced as well. So it's really important that you understand that this passion that I have is for a reason. So here again, here's my gorgeous wife. So what we're offering to those of you today that stayed on the call is a free call with our office. And in that free call, a couple things are going to happen. One, in that call, we're going to discuss what are you going through? What's going on with you? What are your underlying issues? And what have you tried to do in the past to address your health concerns? What have your doctor? Are you on meds? Who have you seen? All of these things. Have you tried any other programs? In addition to that, we also want to find out how can our practitioner, me, and our support team, how can we help you? And then we want to talk about a plan of action to prepare you for a first appointment. Now, before we move on, I want to say this. This call is really to identify if this is the right place for you, if I'm the right doctor for you, if this is the right path for you. It's not for everybody. I don't take everybody. I don't take people who aren't serious. That's simple. If you really want the changes that you want, you've got to be willing to be willing. And so it's really important. But in this call, we're going to identify all of those things. If it appears that this is a really good fit, our office is a good fit for you, and I'm a good doctor fit for you, then we'll move to the next step. The next step would be a one-on-one consultation with me. If you're in my area, you'll come into the office. Remember, we clean the office on a regular basis. We're still seeing patients. So you don't have to be worried about coming here. We also can do Zoom calls all over the country. So maybe you have an aunt, an uncle, a brother, a sister, a cousin, or a friend that lives in Chicago or Minneapolis or Houston or Dallas or New York, for crying out loud, the hotbed of the coronavirus. They can contact us, right? They can contact us and go through the same call that you're going through, and we can identify if we can help them. I said it earlier on, and I've lived by this for 31 years. If I can't help you, I will not offer you a program, period. It's just that simple. It's all about, I need to be able to sleep at night, okay? So book your call. Here's the link below. You may have gotten a text already that shows you the link, but book the call because they book up really fast. We're still in season, and so we want to make sure that we get you on the books to go through your call. Once we've done that, then we can book a consultation to talk with me personally. There will be paperwork. You're going to go to our website. You're going to download the paperwork. You're going to fill it out online and send it back to us. So I'm going to have all this information about you to identify what your needs are, what your goals are, and if I can help you. I'm going to request in the doctor's appointment, we're going to request that you provide me with a year's worth of labs so I can go through those and I can attach those and show you how your labs are associated with your symptoms and what do we need to do. Okay? Very straightforward. If we get to the point where you're going to make an appointment to talk with me directly, Dr. Rappe, that fee normally is $287. That's the normal fee, $287. However, however, because you've been on the program today, I talked about a $200 gift. So I'm going to reduce the fee of $287 to a simple $87. So once we make it through the first step and on to the second step, that fee to meet with me and discuss with me if this is the right path for you would be $87. Simple $87. Okay? So all you got to do is contact us on the screen. Call now, 760-777-4177. There's our website. We can get a hold of us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Very straightforward. Now is the time that could change your life forever. So please contact us if what we said today makes sense. The link is in the chat box. I just got word from the boss. The link's in the chat box. So now's the moment that could change your life forever. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Take that first step today. I really appreciate the opportunity to share the amazing information in our incredible office and our incredible staff. My goal is simple. I want to help you become as healthy as you possibly can and beat this coronavirus silly. Okay? All right? Thank you guys. God bless.